Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Barb, and I'm here with my co host Matt, and we're going to talk about season 1, episode 6 of Psych.
Hi, everybody. And if you are enjoying the show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Let all of the people know about it.
Mhm. Definitely, and leave some comments for us. We want to shape the show, so anything you have to add, we'd love to hear.
So, starting off with some more psych news. Um,
Yes.
I mean, this is exciting. We're getting more feedback about the new movie,
Yep.
the Psych 3 movie. This is Gus. I've seen a lot more posts about it now, confirming that
Mhm.
it's about to start production, and
I
this is
actually saw
awesome.
the I actually saw the first one today from Peacock.
Oh, perfect.
It might have been last night, I don't know, middle of the night sometime. I saw it was actually from Peacock that said coming soon. So I'm really excited about that. I also a couple days ago saw on Corbin Burnson made a post where you could see in his eyeglasses, it almost looked like they were already shooting. But I know
Mhm.
it's not supposed to start yet. But everyone was like zooming in on his glasses on the lenses. It was a cute post. But yeah, we're really excited. I can't wait for that third movie.
I know. I'm really excited for it too, especially with this one
Mhm.
being about Gus. Yeah, it'll be really cool.
I
But
really,
yeah,
really
so good
wish
news.
well, I really wish that they would do the thing where they have, like, the house linked together by the
I
pool.
was thinking
Like
that too,
like
with the
yeah,
swimming pool that goes across both.
yes! Like
Oh,
the
I
little
so
lazy
hope that's
river
the
that
thing.
would connect. I really, really hope that they do
Oh, I
something
so
really
hope
cool like
that's
that.
a
It
thing.
would be amazing. That would be
Hmm.
amazing. You gotta
Yeah,
have them, like, right there by each other.
their
Anyway,
living
we'll
situation.
see. It's gonna be fun, though. I'm really excited for it.
Also, for the listeners, this is probably old news for you. We are recording this like a week or two ahead of time, so keep that in
Yeah.
mind. This is new news for us. All right.
Right. Right.
So
Um,
let's go into like
yeah.
what's the episode we're watching this week?
Okay, so this week's episode is titled Weekend Warriors. It aired first on August 11th, 2006, and was written by Steve Franks and Douglas Steinberg. And it was directed by John Fortenberry. So Douglas Steinberg wrote or co-wrote actually 2 episodes of Psych. But he has also written on many other shows, and mostly older stuff, like Cagney and Lacey, St. Elsewhere, which was a huge show with like Denzel Washington, and also Boston Public.
Yeah, I checked out a bunch of at least Fortenberry stuff, and it was kind of like last week's where he had a bunch of stuff going back, some time, but I didn't know any of it until I got past the 2000s. And again, like he had
Of
some really
course.
good ones too. So
Yeah, he Fortenberry directed he's been directing since 1988 actually. Some of the more notable things is and it's mostly comedies. Was like Just Shoot Me with David Spade, Night at the Roxbury, Everybody Loves Raymond, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Arrested Development. Now he's directing things like Blackish and American Housewife, The Rookie, and This Is Us.
yeah, so quite the roster. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of those like the rookies, awesome. Always Sunny,
Mhm.
awesome. There's a lot of done ones in there that are actually really good.
Yeah, for sure. So the episode this week is about Lassie being part of a Civil War reenactment group. And Sean and Gus go to observe the rehearsal of this, and someone actually dies. So they get hired to help on the case, and shenanigans ensue when they join into the reenactment.
I loved this episode. There were tons of funny things in it that I thought were hilarious, and that just like the silliness of this episode was also really fun, just because of it being based around something that Lassiter's in, and it's like not a official police matter; it's like a hobby of his, so it's a little less serious, a little more silly. I enjoyed this episode a lot, and everybody got a little spotlight in it, which I loved. We got Henry back, finally, because these last 2 episodes he's been, Henry's been a little bleak. He hasn't been around that much. So I thought it was a fun episode.
That's actually my favorite part about this episode is that Henry was in it more. I've come to it's funny because over the years, like back when I was first watching this show, if you'd have said who was one of your favorite characters, Henry would not have been really on that list. I find now that I get as like the older I get, the more I understand him and the more I like him. So I really like when his character is heavy in the episode. Um this episode, and I know that this is not a popular opinion here, but it wasn't my favorite. I don't I don't know. I did find a couple of things about it. Like the plot was pretty good. I liked seeing all the reenactment stuff with Lassie. I think it was fun to see that he is not only serious about police work, but about his hobbies too. It's like, he's just as serious about that.
Hmm.
So I did think that that was a little bit interesting. I liked some of the like one-liner kind of things as well. But I did really, really like that we got a lot of Henry in this one. So,
One other thing I did like about this one comparatively to, I think it was the last one and the week before. Well, no, the last one was okay. The Nine Lives one was okay. It was the week before that. This one, I thought the story was a little bit more interesting, and I thought that the drop of clues as you follow the trail and the introduction of characters, and I thought all of that was much better than it was, especially in that um, the not the one before Nine Lives, the Smokers Wanted, or the one with the treasure hunt and
mhm,
the
the wife. Yeah.
the wife. Yeah, I didn't like that not the episode before last. So this one I felt was much better than that one was.
So let's break this episode down a little bit. We start this one off with young Sean and Gus. This is like the first time in a few episodes that we've seen Gus at the beginning. They've been a lot of just Sean and Henry flashbacks, but in this one we see Sean and Gus, and we have Isaiah Brown here as young Gus again. I like him okay. I don't think he looks as much like Gus, but he doesn't permanently stay in this role. In season 2, Carlos McCullers the second is going to take over the role. I like him better as Gus. But in this scene, they're junior Bobcats and they have to find a rocket that Henry sets off. Um, Winner gets a hot fudge sundae, and I like the comment. He said, "The loser gets to look on with envy."
Hmm.
I
Yep.
thought that was so cute.
Yeah, I think this is actually a great Henry scene.
Yeah.
I like he's so serious with it, but it's like he's. It almost makes me question sometimes where Sean doesn't feel like his I don't know, his dad was a good dad, because it seems like especially in this scene at least, like he's involved, he's invested, he's having
Mhm.
fun with it, he's teaching them something. Like I don't know, like this seems like a good Sean and dad moment for as far as like a kid moment goes.
Yeah,
So
and I mean, I do like also, and I don't, I know we're kinda going ahead here, but I do like how they sort of bring this around at the end a little bit. Um, but it's another one of those instances for me where you can see that Sean just really, like, wants Henry's approval. So,
yeah. Oh
there's
yeah.
it's
You're
interesting
skipping
to me, that
literally to
dynamic.
the end.
Yeah.
um
Well,
uh
I mean, I like that they sort of I without giving too much away, I'll say I like the way that they sort of bookended
mhm.
this episode. We don't always get that
Oh
aspect of
yes.
it, and I liked how they did that
Yeah,
in
you're
the,
skipping
like,
too far
show.
ahead. Yes, but I do
Yeah,
like that.
look, I'm not giving too much away,
um
just the
one
bookends, it's nice.
Another thing that I did like about this was during his little rant, he does have a funny quote that I think would fall under a Henry lesson.
Mhm.
Man is a stupid creature that would rather fight than use his brain to solve problems.
Yeah.
And I love how Sean like knows that quote, and
Uh-huh.
he just instantly recited it. His dad has like pushed it into him, but I think that's a good thing too because it tells him, it's again, it's a good Henry lesson teaching him to solve problems through communication rather than just getting in a fight with somebody. And I think that travels with him, especially with Sean though, because he does a good job sweet talking people, like being friends,
Yeah.
getting them to like get on his side, manipulation a little bit.
Mhm.
So it carries over.
Yeah.
At a minute and 19 seconds, this is similar to what you said before, where it's where he sets it up as a competition, and it's um he says there can only be one winner, which is another good Henry listen,
Mhm.
and the winner gets a hot fudge sundae, and the loser gets to look on in envy. And
Mhm.
again, the way that young Sean like recites this is without them being weird. Like this is just how Henry is, and they
Mhm.
know it and they like it. So I think that was great. I loved Henry in this scene. I
Yep.
think he's a pretty good dad here.
Yeah. I think he always wants to teach Sean something, probably to a fault, like,
Hmm.
too much sometimes, but it's you can see it all coming out in the way Sean is now and how he solves these cases, but, I had it at 2 minutes, 55 seconds. This is such a funny scene. The reenactment is starting, and Gus and Sean they have snacks and drinks and a blanket to sit on. They have come out to watch this, and Gus is like, why are we here today? And Sean's like, the rehearsal is what they should charge for. This is when it's good. So,
Hmm.
and I like that you see them like sitting down and Sean or Gus is eating a sandwich and like it's funny to me.
See, I don't know if I notated it in the past, but there is one part later in the episode where Lassiter does mention he's been coming out there and watching us for the last 3 weeks now. Sean's been coming out every single weekend to watch them rehearse. And it was a little thing that I didn't notice before the first couple of times I've seen this episode,
I
but when I
didn't
watched it
notice
last
it
time,
today.
yeah, he definitely says he's been coming out there all week. Oh, he mentions it. How he was throwing Skittles into the mouths of the dead
Uh-huh,
guys.
uh-huh.
That's when he mentions it. Yeah, it's like a little thing
Oh,
before that.
yeah, I did not catch that. So after the reenactment starts and you see Lassie, and first of all, this part I laughed out loud at when he turns around and has the beard on. It's hysterical on Lassie. He does not look right with facial hair. And to me, he looked more
Especially
like
not
a
with this
pirate.
nonsense.
He looked like a pirate to me with his little feather.
Mhm.
I got a pirate vibe, not a Civil War reenactment vibe. But what the funniest part about this, and you had the same comment here, is that Gus says what died on his face. It was
Yeah,
beautiful. It was
it's un
beautiful.
I don't know, it definitely looks awful. It looks terrible. It
Not
definitely
natural
looks
at all
clear.
for
Yeah,
him.
not natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a weird shape to it and a weird look. Yeah, it definitely does not look good.
Did you
Um,
get a pirate vibe or was it just me?
I didn't get Pyro. I think it looks very Civil War, like old timey. I feel like he should have had a monocle to go with it.
Mhm.
At 422 though, Lassiter is so they do their reenactment run, and as after watching it, they're pretty hardcore with it. I
Yeah.
mean, people are getting knocked on the ground and like flipped back, and like people are hitting each other. They're doing pretty good, but Lassiter steps out and he's like, "Guys, I'm sorry. I know I said I wouldn't," which indicates that he's been just like berating these guys for the last several weeks about doing a poor job. But he's pointing out the places that they messed up on, and he this one dude comes out who has the fake bayonet through the eye gag where he has like the headpiece going under his hat and it looks like he got stabbed in the eye with the bayonet. And Lassiter surprisingly does not like it. I figured he would have liked the dedication and initiative, but he specifically says it's too much. There's going to be kids at this thing. We don't want people in the stands to vomit. The fact that like Lassiter thought it was too much just really cracked me up for some reason. I thought that he would have loved it, but he's like, I don't
Right.
know. And I think he actually says grandstand, which another thing that made me laugh was like how many people are coming
How
to this
many people are
reenactment.
really coming to it?
Exactly.
Is it that big of an event? That's
And in this
funny.
same scene, Lester is telling everybody that this war is important to him because it involved his great grandfather, Colonel Muscom T. Lassiter.
Yep.
And Sean and Gus both relax to that. And Sean's like, "What the hell is a Muscom?" And
I loved
Gus
this.
misses the joke. And as he does, he's like, "It was a very common name for the era." Like he just
I
knows this information.
Okay, no, and the best part about that comment when he said that about it being common was that he cites his reference. He goes, "History Channel." I love how he cited the reference, and then Sean goes right for ESPN, Gus.
Just
ESPN.
once in a while.
Just watch ESPN. Like, but it's it is funny to me that he cites it. Like
I think that's the
History
second time
Channel.
that he's mentioned that, trying to get him to watch other stuff. Mm.
That's funny to me. I love that
So
dynamic.
I did have to look this up. So this week's pineapple moment.
Yeah, I didn't
was a
see it at all.
very difficult one, so I did have to look it up, and if you look really closely, it's at 4:45, I think was the best picture of it. There is the Snapple. It's pineapple Snapple tea, and you can kinda
Okay.
see the label, but yeah, it's, actually, I think
Yeah,
4:50 is probably the best time slot
I
to see it.
looked, and I could not find it at all.
Mhm. Yeah, I watched
So,
it twice, and I was, like, really looking for
mhm,
it, and I eventually had to give up. Yeah, that was a really
yeah.
difficult one, so
Yeah,
should be a
so
fun
if
one.
you got that, listeners,
Oh, yeah.
bravo.
Props to you if you
Yeah,
saw that it was a pineapple Snapple,
yeah,
especially in the what is it, 720p or 480p that this was filmed
yeah.
in 2006. Mm. So at 4:50, this is after we Laster has berated some guy that's still playing dead, and it doesn't appear that he's playing dead. So Juliet runs over to the guy while Lassiter's checking his pulse, and we get. I think this is our first, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is our first time that Sean calls Juliet Jules. I could be mistaken,
I
but
no, I think he did. He has in prior episodes.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I could have sworn that
yeah.
this one. Maybe it was just because it
Mhm,
was the episode did start off a little bit flirty between them, so maybe that's why I thought about that. Like when
mhm.
Juliet walked over, she was saying like there's like some flirty banter between them about like I wish you should have come here sooner, and then she's like do you have like a hoop skirt, and she's like I could rent one. I don't know, maybe that's why it's just a little bit flirty, and that's why I thought about it, but I could have sworn that was the first one. Hmm. But back onto the story. At 6:09, Laster is giving instructions, and he notices one of the actors is playing dead. So this is right after Juliet walks over to like check and see. He approaches the body and he figures out that the actor is dead and he has been shot. So this is where the case starts. 7:15, we are back in the police station, and Lassiter is trying to get, or I'm sorry, Sean is trying to get on the case with Lassiter. Lassiter mentions that Sean has apparently been to all of their rehearsals and has been throwing Skittles into the dead soldiers' mouths, which is what
I
we talked about
I
before. I
like
forgot I made a note
here
about it.
yeah, I like here when they're talking about the Skittles and he says he thought they were M&Ms and M's, and Sean says,
Mhm.
"For your information, those were Skittles and they have a rainbow of flavors."
Yep.
So
Mm.
specifically, I also love here at 7 minutes 50 seconds when they're in the briefing. Well, even before then, when he's talking to Sean, you can see his hair.
Mhm.
And Lassie's hair is like it's parted down the middle.
Yeah, he
It's the
still has
little
his
things.
work get up
Yeah, these things are
or
what
his
get to me. It's
mhm.
so funny. He still had the beard on. Which well, that won't last for long, but it was funny. That was a funny. His hair is like he's trying to be so true to character, but yeah.
I can't believe he still has the beard and the mustache on.
Mhm.
And like he's just going about his day expecting that nobody, like what if he arrested somebody? Like
Right.
like I wonder how long he was planning on doing that. I don't know, that would have been really funny to have some sort of interaction with the outside world with him in that beard if he went to go like buy some food or coffee or something. But yeah,
Yeah, it just
the beard is
it
nonsense.
wasn't him. No.
All right, at 9:42, we're in the briefing room. Blaster has a bunch of the Civil War people there. He has the chief and a couple other cops in there. Sean sneaks in and he goes and stands over next to the nurse there, the reenactor that's dressed up as a nurse. And they have some little like banter moments where there's a little bit of flirting between them, and true to character. And I don't know that was a funny little I don't remember exactly what the line was, but it was a funny little line between them where they like look at each other, then they look away, then look each other, look away, and he's like, "Why do you keep staring at me?" And it makes her laugh. I thought that they had actual chemistry in this episode, so
Mhm. I would
uh,
agree with that. I would
so I
agree
thought
with
that was
that,
cool.
but I didn't have a good feeling about her. Like the two of them had good chemistry, but I didn't know from early on in the episode. It's been a long
I
time since
liked
I
her.
watched this
Mhm,
episode. So, but like I didn't have a great feeling about her. I
mhm.
just thought she was sort of I don't know. I don't know. It's whatever. Okay, so I laughed at 10:32 when Sean pretends to talk to the little toy soldier. You know, he's always looking for like how do I get in on this? How do I make them believe that it's a psychic thing?
Mhm.
So,
It was a good one.
Yeah, this was really cute when he picked up the toy soldier and did that. I thought
Yeah, like channeling
that was a
a
good
miniature
yeah,
version of the victim. I thought
yeah.
that was a good one.
Yep, it
Mhm,
was a great, great entry into it, and Chief Vic bought right onto it.
mhm.
She was,
Yeah, especially because he knew about the bullet through the heart.
right,
Um,
right,
and in that same
and
scene, Lasseter describes
mhm,
how he describes it as one of Sean's psychic visions as an episode,
uh-huh,
and I like that. It
yeah,
was begrudgingly, he was like, he had an episode in the hallway, like he was
exactly.
embarrassed by him.
And then I well, when Chief Vic even when she asks, "How did you know that?" And Sean says, "Lassie, you wanna take that?" I love how he did it.
Mhm,
Like, I'm telling you right now to tell people I'm psychic." It was awesome. He
uh,
was, putting that on Lassiter, which was great.
mhm. Almost like he's sick of saying, like, "I'm a psychic." Yeah, like, he's letting
Exactly.
Lasseter say it.
Like well, because he knows it's gonna kill Lassiter to say it.
Mhm.
He knows that. He could have just said it himself. He really wanted Lassiter to have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you could see it. Yeah, he does
Yeah.
get a little bit of joy from, like, his
Yeah. Oh,
snarkiness. Mhm.
he gets a lot of joy. Great.
After this scene, the group goes back to the crime scene and has everybody looking for evidence. There's essentially like a little search party, and Lester is organizing and sending people in different directions to look for things. We get a scene that shows off one of Sean's abilities. While Lassiter is telling everybody, he has like a clipboard that has essentially all the names of all the reenactors that were there, and some of them are checked off or have notes next to them. And Sean gets a quick look at this from pretty good distance away, and he like knows all the names now, and he remembers like where the checks were, what notes were on there. So I think that was a cool little thing that we get to see about Sean beyond just his hyper noticing, his also memory and attention to detail. That's what helps him like do what he does.
Yeah, so in this same scene, I got a kick out of the fact that at the end of it, I think Lassie like sort of dared him in some way,
Hmm.
and he said, like if you do it, if you do what I'm asking you, and Sean says, "Can I wear your face wig?"
And I'm assuming that Lasseter just stared at him
He
begrudgingly.
did,
Hmm. Yep. I don't
and then he
remember that
walked
exact
away.
scene, but I can imagine how Lassiter would be.
He did it, and then he walked away. He, like, just looked at him and was like it
See,
was
I think
funny.
that's great though. Now that you mention it, I think that's
Uh-huh.
great because the Lassiter is getting into like the character is developing more. It's not just rage anymore. Like
Yeah.
he's learning how to deal with
Uh-huh.
Sean in the best way possible, and it's
Uh-huh.
like almost like the way you deal with a child is just don't react.
Just
Just
don't
ignore it
react.
and don't
Exactly.
react.
Like, I'm gonna walk away, I'm not feeding into this,
Mhm.
nothing. Next scene with
But Sean
these
is tenacious and he never stops.
he never stops, exactly. In the next scene, they're back at the psych office, and, Sean brings out this box of toys, and they're, like,
Oh yes,
aliens and little people, and he completely
this is a cool
recreates
scene.
the police board simulation on the air hockey table.
Mhm. Yeah, he
So
uses, like, sticky
good.
notes to make tents, he draws on it with markers to, like,
Yes.
add, like, the river and the bridge. This was
It
a
was
cool scene.
perfect. And that's when Gus looked at him and is like, "You did not what is this?" And he's like, "It's the police board." And he says, "You remember that shot?" And then he says, you something to the effect of, "You should get a hobby or, like, do something better with your time or something." But this is what makes him solve the cases is that he remembers that, just like you were saying about the clipboard. He remembers
Mhm.
what he sees.
Yep.
Um, I will note that the next the next scene, because they figure out who one of the characters was or who one of the suspects was, and it was a dentist. So they're in the dentist office in the next scene, and Gus is upset because Sean made the dentist appointment for Gus. He's like, "Oh, my teeth are awesome, Sean. Why? Why'd you make this appointment for me?" So they go in there, and it's someone I guess they had been, in high school with,
Mhm.
who's playing and that person playing the dentist is actor John Ross Bowie, and he was also Barry Kripke on The Big Bang Theory for its entire run.
Mhm.
I hadn't seen him anything older from before. And I'll
Yeah,
also
it was a
note
surprise.
Yeah. I'll also note for just inaccuracy purposes, I worked in dental for like 20 years. You don't ever take a dental impression with someone laying back. That's not how that's done.
And you know what?
They
I
will gag.
appreciate the inaccuracy notices. If I make them about guns, you have to make them about dentists.
That's right.
Mhm. Point 'em out. It has nothing to do with the episode, but it's a fun fact.
It's just a fun fact. If you
Yep.
take a dental impression with somebody laying down, they're gonna gag like
Mhm.
crazy. Yeah, never. Anyway, I always find that
I
interesting.
do
They
love
do
in
that
this
on a lot of
scene.
shows.
I don't have it in my notes, but I do love in this scene how it we could see like how close they are. He's got the dental impression thing in his mouth, and
Mhm.
Sean is the only person in the room that can understand what he's saying. We were like, "Whoa, no, 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 no!" And he's like, he's saying his teeth are immaculate. Like, I do
Mhm.
like that. That was a fun little thing that they did too.
Mhm.
Just a cool little piece that they added.
Yes.
Um, uh, and we do also get the introduction of a story arc here. So
Mhm.
they come here to interrogate or question their friend, or their former friend, and one of the reenactors, and the dentist. And we get a scene where his wife walks in, and she's very attractive, very much out of his league. And uh, Sean like peeks around the corner and sees that she's just like grabbing some money from him and then going. And when he comes back, he's like, he recognizes that they are shocked by how attractive his wife is comparatively to him, and he's like, "Where is it written that the ugly guy never gets the girl?" And Sean tells him, "Everywhere."
Everywhere.
So yeah, he points out that like fallacy. We do also learn in this scene that the victim was having an affair with the guy's wife, with the dentist's wife, and that they knew about it, and that's the reason that he's a suspect. We also see that he probably isn't the guy who did this, since without his glasses, he's blind, and
Mhm.
Lassiter won't let him wear his glasses because they are not time accurate, even though he's blind without them. So,
They have to
Lassiter's
be
hardcore.
period accurate. That was fun.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that scene told us a lot. I like the next scene. We're at 19 minutes 21 seconds. This is after they have Lassie had come into the dental office and actually arrested this guy, the dentist, and they're back at the station, and they were trying to tell him, that's what Gus was trying to say with the impression material in his mouth, is you've got the wrong man. And so they get back there, and Sean's trying to tell Lassie and the chief that's not him. It's that you got the wrong guy. And that's when Lassie's like, "Well, get me evidence. This guy's got a motive. He's got everything." And Sean rushes out saying, "I'm gonna get you a woman." The chief is laughing. She's trying to take a drink of water, but she's laughing at what they just said. Such a good dig. Like Sean's like, "I'm gonna get you a woman."
That one got you a little bit.
It did.
Yeah, I
It was
didn't even
good.
notice that one. I didn't even
Yeah,
notice
that
that
one
one.
was good. I loved it. She was like trying so hard not to laugh, taking her drink of water after he said that to Lassie. And Lassie turned around. He's clearly he's clearly upset about it.
Watching you laugh
It
at
was
the
a good
moment, I think,
episode.
is funnier than the moment.
Yeah, that moment was funny.
Sometimes something just tickles you. Mm.
Yeah, that one was a good one. I like when Sean gets his little digs in with Lassie. It's funny.
Yeah, and the subtle ones too are nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
At 1930, we finally get more of Henry. We see Henry with another character that we've already seen before that was a part of the reenactment at a jewelry store. And Henry is buying Sean a pocket watch, a gold pocket watch for him for his birthday. And we learn from the dialogue that this is something that Henry's dad did for him when he was an adult. And it's a nice gesture. It's a nice
And
thing that he's thinking about him.
and we actually saw the pocket watch that Henry had in
Mhm.
the flashback earlier on.
Yes, we did. Yep, at
Yeah.
the beginning, he pulls it out of
Yeah.
his pocket to see what time he launches the rocket at.
Mhm.
Um, uh, funny, this scene is also pretty good because he's paying for the inscription to go in the pocket watch, and he chops it down from like this long sentence to "Don't lose, Henry." That's such a perfect. That's so perfect for Henry. Don't lose. Like
So
nothing about "I love you," nothing about his name or happy birthday. Just don't lose it. He knows Sean so well. I thought that was good.
now, so this is also like a little full circle moment to the flashback too, because remember that if, it started out, don't lose this pocket watch, but then just went to don't lose. And in that flashback in the beginning, we had what do the losers do? They look on to the winner with envy.
Look on in
So
envy.
it was a great little like, okay, well, this has a double meaning actually here.
Hmm.
Don't lose the pocket watch, but just don't lose. It was a good one.
Oh, okay. I see. I see.
You
Okay.
get
Yeah,
it?
I got you. Okay.
You get it? Okay,
I
okay,
can
great.
follow. I can follow.
All right, all right. These are the things you missed. Yeah, yeah.
So the next scene, we have Gus back at work, and Sean comes back to uh, entice him to come back to the case.
Yes. And when he comes in, he has his he has Sean's coworker introduce him as Sergeant Crunch. He comes around
Lieutenant
the
Crunch.
door.
Lieutenant Crunch.
Lieutenant, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Lieutenant Crunch. And he comes around the door and he goes, actually, I've been promoted to captain. So now he's Captain Crunch. And he's in his Civil War outfit. And it's funny.
Just
And
walking around town, just
yeah.
doing his thing in the full Civil War getup.
And at this point, you got to give it to Gus.
Uh,
Gus thinks this is a Civil War reenactment. I'm out at this point. I don't. They don't need me. And as soon, this is another moment where you see Gus getting pulled in by one thing, and Sean knew exactly what button to push here, and he said, "I was thinking Glory, Denzel."
Denzel. And yeah,
That's
Gus
all
repeats
it
him.
took.
Denzel. And he gets this nice little look on his face.
And just like that, he's sucked in and he's in. He's there. Great.
The next scene, we see them back at the jewelry store with the owner, and that's where they have all the uniforms at. We see Gus in his uniform, and it's incredible. I'm pretty sure he's the leader of the marching band or something. But with the hat, with the big like fluffy top, like feather type thing on top of it,
The
he definitely
plume.
looks like a marching band. The plume, yes, he
Mhm.
looks like he's in the marching band, and it's really funny whenever he looks in the mirror. The look on his face versus the look on Sean's face are completely different. He's annoyed, upset, and like agitated that he feels like Gus or Sean like oversold it.
Uh-huh.
And Sean he loves it. He's like, dude, you look
You got
awesome. Which I really enjoyed that. That was a funny scene. Gus still does wear it though throughout the episode. He does wear the costume. The next scene, they're at the battlefield, and all the guys that are doing the reenactment are camping there the night before the actual reenactment is, and they're like old school, like I don't know, cloth tents and campfires, and we see Sean like quote unquote camping with like his video games. He's got a little generator with a little griddle going. He's got inflatable like pool furniture, and we do get a scene that's a callback to earlier in the episode. Early in the episode, we have a scene where Lassiter is talking to the guys, and he uses this thing. He uses this word edification. He's like, "For your edification, we already know this piece of information, this piece of evidence." And Sean called him out on it. He's like, "Edification," and Lassiter explains what it is. And in this scene, we get it too, where Sean says, "For your edification." Um,
Mhm.
whenever Gus accuses him of like glamping, essentially, like you're supposed to be roughing it, and he's like, "For your edification, I'm cooking burgers." It's the
He's
same thing.
well, he says for your edification, they don't have TiVo out here.
Right. Yep.
Like it
So
was rough without TiVo. Good
that was
and
funny where he
yeah.
pulled something from Lassie.
Yeah, it was cute. Another full circle moment.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
those.
yeah. I do too. Especially when
Mhm.
it's yeah. I like those ones where it's picking him. Especially when I don't know Sean. It's subtle. I like the subtle
Mhm.
things. I like little subtle like jabs or like moments.
Yeah, for sure.
So in this same scene, the Sally Reynolds, I think Sally comes over, the nurse, and she walks past Sean, and Sean gets up and starts talking to her, and they go for a little walk. They have a little flirty scene, and they end up kissing on the bridge where the guy fell from, the victim. and Sean ends up not paying attention, and he steps back and falls off the bridge and rolls down right where the victim died. And when he does this, he like looks up trying to get his bearings, and he looks over into the trees, and he has like a moment where it clicks for him,
This is
and he's like,
actually my
"Oh
wait
yeah,
for it moment this week.
oh this one is okay,
Yeah,
that's a
because
good
it
one."
changed
Yep.
everything. Like, it was like, "Okay, you know what? It all makes sense to me now."
It was an
I'm
epiphany moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah, it opened the gate for them solving the case, really. So,
Yeah, yeah. So he gets the
mhm,
idea here, like on screen. It's visual, but he gets the
mhm,
idea that the shooter was up in the trees, not just somebody who accidentally shot him with like a blank that had like a musket ball stuck in the barrel or something
mhm.
like that. Like somebody targeted this guy.
It was intentional for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And later they also put together that um, from a detail earlier in the episode is that the victim wasn't supposed to be here.
Mhm,
He went way past his mark, is what Lassiter said. So the victim wasn't supposed to be in that spot, anyways. So they later
mhm,
deduced then that the victim must have saw something. The guy up in the
mhm,
tree was doing something else. He saw that he was made, and then he ended up shooting the guy to
mhm.
cover his tracks. So this is definitely a key part of the scene, and I think I was a great call making this your um,
My
which one was
wait
it?
for it
Wait
moment.
for it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
This was a definitely a good call for that one.
Yeah, I just was like, "Okay," and this is the moment where they all know. I
So
don't
the
know.
next day when the sun comes up, this is 32 minutes into the episode, we're a little over halfway
Mhm,
through. Um, they go back to the scene and they investigate it more. Sean's up in the tree where they think the gun was fired from, and like where they found a good perch. And Gus is helping him brainstorm as the victim, and he tells him to look for a notch in the tree to find the intended target, someplace where you would rest the gun if you were trying to make
mhm,
a long shot with a rifle. And this leads them to the um, what is it, the medical tent
mhm,
where Sally Reynolds is playing the nurse. So they now know that Sally was most likely the intended target.
mhm,
At 34 minutes, Sean assumes the murderer still wants Sally dead. So his plan is essentially to put on a bulletproof vest, dress up as the victim, and during the reenactment, play that part and see if somebody tries to shoot him, which is a fantastic plan. If you get shot, you definitely prove you were right.
right. Hey,
Nothing wrong
seems
with that.
logical to Sean. Yeah.
Now, while they're planning this, they did call Juliet and let her know vaguely what was going on or that they needed backup. And Juliet gets there and she finds out what's going on and she says that she'll do it. So they end up
Mhm.
switching. Juliet is now going to be I don't know, the guinea pig or the
The
scapegoat here.
bait.
Yes, the bait.
Sorry.
And Sean and Gus are going to investigate and watch and try and figure out more about it, just in case nobody takes the shot, since the plans could have changed. The guys find a tunnel behind or next to the tree where the perch is because nobody shows up. So they go investigate the perch. They find a tunnel that leads behind one of
Like,
the
other
other.
side of the creek, yeah.
Right.
They
It goes
it's like it's
across the
underneath
bridge where nobody was looking for the victim because they thought that the shot came from this side.
it. Mhm,
And this leads them to a tent that belongs to the jewelry store owner, the guy who is kind of entangled in all of this. They both come to the conclusion. They figure out what um what happened. They both have like their own little epiphany moment whenever they hear an explosion in the distance. This is at 38 minutes. As soon as they hear that explosion, both of them are like, "I know what happened," and they rush out of the thing back to the out of the reenactment back to the jewelry store.
mhm.
After this, we find out that Mahoney, the jewelry store owner, is the mastermind behind all this. Him and Sally were in on this together, and
See,
Sally is
I
the
knew I
insurance
didn't
agent.
like Sally.
See,
She
yeah,
didn't she hit me the wrong way from the beginning.
and
Something
this
was
time
off.
the difference from Gus going after the murder, Sean was sitting on the
Sean.
murderer.
Mhm.
Although that doesn't happen too often. Usually it's Gus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it
Mhm.
was a I thought it was an interesting story. Sally Reynolds is the insurance agency, and that is something that we knew throughout the episode. It was mentioned a couple
Right.
times. She had insurance policy on this guy's like stash of like a memorabilia and jewelry, and his thing was that he was going to kill Sally to cover his tracks there, and essentially during the reenactment, while all the bombs were going off, blow a hole in his safe, rob him, and collect insurance money. And the guys figure this out. I thought it was kind of funny when they go to the jewelry store to essentially catch this guy and catch him in the act. Gus walks in with his sword drawn, like he's like, "I'm here to save the day," and then Mahoney pulls out a gun, and they're like, they thought that they planned this out, but then they didn't, and then we find out that there was another plan to go along with it. When they leave the safe, everybody's out there in the hallway with their guns aimed at the guy, and that concludes the case. One other little tiny tidbit, inaccuracy.
Is this one of
When
those fun facts, Matt?
it's one of those fun facts that we just talked about. It's crazy.
Yes.
When Mahoney pulls out his gun, again, he pulls out a Glock, which does not have a hammer, but they make the sound effect of a hammer clicking back on the gun. Why? Why?
It's for dramatic effect, Matt. It's for dramatic effect.
It upsets me a little bit and makes my neck
I
tense,
know. I
but
know it
it is
does.
what it
I
is.
know. I'm sorry.
um, but yeah, so we're at the end of the episode now, 41 minutes in. They just wrapped up the case and people are being arrested. Everybody leaves the conference room, and before Lassiter leaves, Sean and Gus tell him, "Good work, detective. We got him." And Gus says to Lassiter, "We're a team, right?" And we talked about this last week, and I love that it popped up again, where they're building this trust or like friendship as coworkers, where it's not this competition to see who wins. It's, do we
Yeah.
win? Does
Well,
the
and
police
it's that
department win?
they all win if the case gets solved. It doesn't matter who
Exactly.
solves it,
And
you
working
know?
together helps facilitate that.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. It just feels like it takes so long for Lassie to really come around to that. Um,
and Lassiter like accepts it though too. Like I think
yeah.
he was a little bit more open to it every time. Like the whole dynamic. That's part of the reason why I love this episode. And I know I feel like I say this every episode since episode one. Like we're just getting closer and closer to what we love.
Yeah.
I don't remember all of season one by like episode by episode, but we're definitely close to that point. I remember season two. It kicks off like hardcore.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
season two is the kids
Season
say
2
a
is
banger
epic.
of an episode. Like it's perfect. There's
Oh,
so
I
many
love
awesome
season
episodes.
2.
The characters are well developed, and that's kind of what I'm waiting for is that
Mhm.
point in season one where we get those well developed characters. And I feel like
It's
everybody's on
happening.
point this episode.
Yeah.
Juliet was the only one that we really didn't get to see a ton of, but she had her
Mhm.
moments too. She had a few moments here and there, but I thought it was a
I think
fantastic
I
episode.
think every show, the first season, they're really finding their feet. I mean, if you look back at even like other really super popular shows that have been on, season 1 is never really the best season of it.
Right.
They have to find their feet a little bit and figure out, where they're gonna go, what directions they're gonna go with things,
And
and
what
you
people
also
love
need
about
character
the characters.
development.
Mhm.
Right. Because that
Yeah,
be
what
and,
people like.
particularly getting feedback about what people like, what are people responding to, what do they wanna see? That's kinda huge.
Shameless plug. Like
Mhm.
for this episode,
Exactly.
leave your comments. Let us know what we missed, what you
Right?
liked, what you loved about the show, what you didn't love about the show. Let us know.
That's right. Can we just talk
Back to the
about this
episode.
where we were talking about the bookends? I know this is your note too, but,
Yeah, so yeah,
the
this was
I
previous before you were
love
talking about the
yeah,
flashback and how
yes,
we get one at the
because
beginning, one at the end.
bookending this was kind of brilliant because it really, really brought stuff together.
I
After
loved it.
Henry went, I loved it too, and I kinda wish they would do it with more episodes to show you, I don't know, like, more about how everything that they learned when they were younger. And that they did actually talk about some of the things, because talking about how, Gus is like, your dad never said I love you," that's a big deal to Sean. He doesn't make out like it was. So you do kind of feel bad for Sean here, but you also got you like earlier on in the episode when he's in the jewelry
Insight.
store, you get that insight exactly. You get that insight from Henry that's just not who he is. Henry's love language is clearly not words of affirmation. Like,
Mhm.
he is clearly an action type of person. He is a you need to show me how you feel.
Like the
He's not a
pocket watch.
speaker.
Like, that
Yeah,
was a
exactly.
thoughtful gift that,
Mhm.
you know, he's passing down, and,
Yep.
even
And
one
he
thing we did kinda skip over that's kind of in relation to it that was kinda
uh
funny is that he put in the pocket watch, "Don't lose," and then Sean pretended to lose it so that he
Uh-huh.
could use his metal detector, and Henry was like, "It literally says, 'Don't lose.'" Like, how does this happen?
Well, I think him taking the time and teaching Sean everything he's teaching him, that's him showing him he loves him.
Yeah,
That's
preparing him,
the love. He's preparing him for life. He's,
giving
like,
him skill.
turning him into a person that is intelligent and functional and all of these things. That's his love, you know? So, I don't know. I thought it was a good thing because it just gave a little more insight also into the fact that Sean is always chasing Henry's approval. So,
Yeah.
anyway, he never heard him say he loved him. So,
Mhm.
it was a good bookend to that. I really, really liked how they did that episode in that respect. So, not my favorite episode overall, but I did like that.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it was a good moment.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Henry character development was good. But
So notable Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no, go for it.
Okay. So notable points this week. Matt, looks like you have an "ah, yeah" moment.
I loved the part when they were in the tent. Whenever they solved it, essentially they hear that boom that wasn't at the reenactment, and they both figure out, oh, we know what happened, because they both have this
Mhm.
like fun little moment where they come out of it. And they're like, I solved the case, and he's like, I saw it first. I solved it first, and he's like, I identified the C4 sound, and he's like, nope, I solved it first. Too late. They have this just fun little thing where they like Sean's like dancing, and Gus is trying to take his credit. So that was my aw yeah moment was when they both solved the case and they had this little fun little
Mhm.
friend moment,
That was a
like
good
fighting.
moment. That was a good one. Very good one. We talked about my wait for it moment because I didn't really have a come on son. Did you have one?
I don't think that I had one that like really stood out to me. If I had to pick one, it would probably be when I don't know. I guess it didn't work out with Sally. I guess maybe
Mm,
between Sean and Gus, or between Sean and Sally. I
but
don't know. I thought
it
that they
was
had good chemistry, so it could
but
have
I
been something.
didn't
But
want it to work out with them.
yeah, I guess. But
I just didn't I wasn't feeling that. Okay, wait for it moment. Mine was when Sean sees the tree. He's laying there on the ground and he's like,
yep,
"There it is.
that is a good one.
There it
I
is."
I didn't think about that one.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Henry's lessons, we've touched on this a little bit. They start with the every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And just don't be a quitter, don't lose.
Mhm. And then also I had the one from the beginning, man is a stupid creature that would rather fight than use his brain.
Mhm.
I thought that was a good Henry lesson.
Henry's crazy shirt. So I thought it was kind of funny in this episode when Sean goes to the house to, get the lie detector or get the metal detector. Henry opens the door. He's not wearing a shirt at all.
So that
So,
goes under Henry's crazy shirt. He has no shirt at all.
sure. He has no shirt at all. I thought it was funny.
All right, so we did have some 80s guest stars. I had to look into it, obviously, because I don't know any of these people from
Wow.
the 80s. But
I missed
Griffin
these.
Mahoney, the bad guy, is played by Peter Michael Goat, who also played Francis George Shaw in the 1989 movie Glory. And Glory was referenced by Sean whenever he was describing Gus's uniform. He's like,
Mhm.
"I'm thinking Glory,
'Cause Denzel was
Denzel."
in it. Yeah.
Right. So that is a little tie in there with the guest star that they have playing the villain.
Nice. Nice catch. I missed that completely. Very nice catch. We didn't have no moments with the car. I missed the car in this episode.
It still has not been
Um,
dubbed the Blueberry yet. I don't even remember when that happens,
oh, I
but
know when that happens. That happens season 2, episode 1.
is that
Mr.
oh,
Nigel
yes, it
St.
is!
Nigel.
An American Duos.
Yes.
Yep. Wow, okay.
Yes.
Alright, yep.
What?
I forgot when that happened. Yep, that was it. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
trapped in a blueberry.
Exactly. That was
It's
oddly
all flooding
accurate,
back.
Matt.
Oh,
It
I'm
was
so excited
oddly
for season
accurate.
2.
Me too. That's one of my favorite episodes.
God, every episode in that season is
Yeah, that
really just
season's phenomenal. Phenomenal. We're gonna have to have a party when we start season 2.
Yep, we're gonna have a bonus episode or something, like intro to season 2. It's gonna
Yeah,
be good.
it's gonna have to be. We talked about the we talked about the "Where's the Pineapple" because it was so hard to find this time, and that's pretty much it. How do you think this episode held up over time, Matt?
I thought it was very well. I thought it was a great episode. I enjoyed it a lot. There was more character development. The characters had a good flow. We got to know a little bit about Lassie and its off time. We didn't get too much of Jules, but we did get Henry back. And as far as like the plot goes, sometimes I have complaints here. This time I don't. I thought it was an interesting storyline. There was a twist with like the victim not being the intended victim. There was the
Mhm.
other twist of not knowing who the target was, and I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. The dropping of clues along the way was also frequent enough, and I didn't feel like they were keeping anything from us that would have been super obvious. So I thought it was a great episode.
So this is one of those where you and I are just kind of different about this. While there were
Hmm.
absolutely funny moments, don't get me wrong, completely funny moments. I don't know, you guys as listeners might have noticed I didn't have a lot of notes here toward the end from my perspective because I know this will sound crazy, but like I kind of like it didn't draw me in enough to make me really care who did it.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah, this one
didn't.
wasn't your favorite.
No, it just didn't draw me in. I didn't like the girl. Sally, I didn't care for her. For me, it just wasn't not my favorite episode. Not my favorite. I'll always watch an episode of Psych, but I just not my favorite episode for this one.
Yeah, well, there's a few of them where we go like opposite on. I actually think
Yeah.
that my favorite episode throughout the whole series, I think you actually don't like that one at all.
Is it Joel Spires?
Dual Spires, I think, is probably my second favorite. I think my all-time favorite is the Lassie Jerky episode. It's far. It's like in season 5 or 6
Okay.
where they like chase Sasquatch.
Oh,
I
I
love that
don't like that
episode.
episode.
There
I
are
don't like that
so many
one.
great jokes in that episode. It's
Well,
I
I mean,
want to
it's
go
like
into them, but I don't want to talk about it yet. But
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
there's
I
so many
gotta
great
go.
episodes or jokes in
I
that one.
gotta go 0 to Murder in 60
I
Seconds,
knew it.
Lights, Camera, Homicidio,
Mhm.
American Duos, and Last Night Gus. Those are my top 4. So we've not gotten there yet. Last Night Gus, I laugh
Oh, that one is
hysterically
good.
at that episode every single time I watch it. I laugh out loud, like almost start to finish.
This episode
Excellent
sucks.
episode.
That's another fun one. The vampire one.
Um, yeah, that one's
Mhm.
okay. That one's
But
okay.
but
But
yeah,
yeah,
we're getting
yeah,
ahead. Yeah,
we're
we're
getting
so
way ahead
excited
for the
for the
listeners, but
episodes to
there
come.
are some really insanely good episodes of this show. This one just didn't fall into that for me. So,
Mhm. But
yeah.
on next week's episode, we'll be discussing season 1, episode 7, and this one's titled "Who You Gonna Call," which I'm excited for. I thought this one was a
Mhm.
fun one as well.
That one is a fun episode. That one
Mhm.
is a fun episode. You can until then check us out in our Facebook group. We know you know a podcast about psych.
You can also check us out on our Instagram. It's the Psych Podcast with no spaces.
Or you can Gmail us at thepsychpodcast@gmail.com. Please, please, please send us your feedback, subscribe, and let us know because we are trying to, shape this a little bit. So if there are things you'd like us to include, let us know. We're ready for that feedback.
Yep. And also, all the links are going to be down in the description for the episode. You should be able to copy and paste those and search them if you
Okay,
do wanted to leave any messages or comments. So, other
definitely.
than
But
that, thank you for listening and see you next time.
thanks for listening. We hope you come back next week and have a great week.